Hey, how are you? Good evening. Oh, I'm going to try that one more time. Good evening. That's what I'm talking about. I'm Deborah Duncan, the host of Great Day Houston, and this is just a little slice of what makes it great. So thank you all so very much for being out here tonight. Before we introduce our speaker tonight and our wonderful author, I want to bring up someone who's responsible for bringing her here. When's the last time a lot of you have been to a library? Recently? Oh, that is so good to hear, because for a lot of people, the last time they actually went to a library was the last time they had an assignment in school, right? Well, they aren't what they used to be, and we have librarians across this country who have so many exciting things in our libraries, and here in the Houston Public Library System, we have amazing things going on. So please welcome Dr. Rhea Lawson, the Director of Houston Public Library System. She's just finishing up a book. She'll be out here in a minute.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome on behalf of the Houston Public Library and the Houston Public Library Foundation. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you and thank you all for joining us. I don't know if you've heard, but there's been a lot of excitement in this town. Oh, I'm not talking about the Super Bowl. I am talking about when we let you all know that Terry McMillan was coming to this town. I mean, everybody was very, very excited about it. The vital support that we get from the Houston Public Library Foundation lets us do these kinds of programs. So I want to officially thank you for your support of the Houston Public Library Foundation and the Friends of the Houston Public Library, because without their support, we wouldn't be able to invite authors like Terry McMillan and others to our city. So your support is very much appreciated. We love taking the Houston Public Library outside of its walls. And we have many, many partners that we partner with, like the Alley Theater. Isn't this a wonderful venue? We take our programs to libraries throughout our 42 locations around the city, and we partner with institutions of higher learning and other venues. And we know that we'll be in a neighborhood near you soon. We're pleased to have you here to help welcome Terry McMillan to our wonderful city. And we are excited to have as our host tonight the fabulous Deborah Duncan. Host of Great Day Houston, on every morning at 9 o'clock on Channel 11. So on that note, I'm going to hand the podium back over to Deborah so we can get this show on the road. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Lawson. Speaking of the Alley, this place has undergone a facelift, as many of you know, and it's really wonderful. They have so many different rooms where, like here, you can have a more intimate event that happens here, and then, of course, the bigger rooms for all the bigger plays and things that come through. Our main library underwent a facelift a couple of years ago. How many of you have been by the Julia B. Idison? It is gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. All right, so before I bring up Ms. McMillan, let me introduce you to the creators of one of the latest productions to take the stage in the newly renovated Alley Theater. Nigel Smith is the director, and Sangu Gikam is the playwright and lead actor in the hip-hop stage production Sinking Ink. This is probably like no other performance you've seen before. They bring all of theater to this stage. I was talking to them backstage, and I said, how did you get interested in the theater? Because, well, I was in the church all the time, and we would do big pageants, and when we went home for entertainment, we would play church, clearly before video games, right? Please welcome Nigel and Sangu to the stage.
Good evening. I'm Nigel Smith. I'm the director of Sinking Ink, and it's been great to be here in Houston, have some great food, and meet even more importantly, great people here. And it's been fun to be in the last 5 weeks here at the Alley Theater, bringing to life what I think is one of the most important and exciting new plays to come into existence in the last decade, Sanggu Jikam's Sinking Ink. So Sanggu, as Deborah mentioned, Sinking Ink combines all of the modes of storytelling that are part of the African tradition. We've got griot, we've got music, we've got dance, we've got call and response. But how do we get the hip hop in the theater?
Oh, the same way hip hop always gets in. We just walk right through the door and say, "Excuse me, excuse me." Hip hop theater's been around since 1995. Ever since people started getting degrees in theater while at the same time putting cardboard down or linoleum. Ever since Crush Groove has been out, somebody was like, they should do that on stage. And it was the tradition that I came up in. I'm a graduate of Howard University, HU. And it was imperative that I learn from some of my upperclassmen, Camila Forbes, Chadwick Boseman, on, who were doing hip-hop theater. And so when I got asked what I was going to write in New York, I said, I'm going to write a hip-hop theater show. And they said, wait, you can put hip-hop on stage? And I was like, watch me. Fast forward to 2017. On Wednesday, we opened the world premiere. Houston is seeing it before New York is seeing it. The world premiere of Sinking Ink.
So, I first read a draft of this play maybe 2 years ago. And as Sanggu will tell you, I read the draft. We had a meeting upstairs at the Public Theater in New York City. And I said, Sanggu, I want to do this play immediately. I want to do it. I took over a new theater, and this is the show I wanted to open my new theater. And at the center of it is this story of father and son. Can you talk a little bit about how that story came into being and what it means for a black man and his son to be going on a journey?
Well, when I was a baby, I had some health issues, and rather than do a lot of medical stuff, my dad used to pick me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, walk me back and forth in the hallway, and sing Rapper's Delight to me. So y'all know how hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. I ain't gonna do the rest. We stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. All right? And that was part of what was my upbringing. So I literally had hip hop since my infancy. And so it felt only right to look at the fact that my dad's he's retired now, but my dad was a school teacher. And it was like he would use hip hop as a teaching tool. So he'd be like, hey, don't push me, I'm close to the edge. Now imagine, your kid is like, oh, wait, I'm gonna fall back on that. And so it was essential because I think a lot of times people think hip hop only enters if you're out in these streets, son. And that's not true. So many people listening, you know how many Wall Street people are like B-boys on the low? They're like, pack it back. And
they got classes for that stuff.
Right, exactly. So it's essential to see not just father, but my mother as well. You see an intact black family on stage.
And the other thing that's kind of, I thought was really incendiary, to say the word, we make theater, and a lot of times in the theater we see a lot of struggle, a lot of pain pushing through. And yes, we all have hard times. We work and we move through those hard times, and we help each other through those hard times. And one of the things that is so fascinating to me about this play, and one of the reasons I love sharing it every night, is that it ends in a place of positivity, acceptance, and accomplishment. And I mean, that's just something I just think is necessary in our storytelling. But are you going to spit hot fire on stage?
Am I going to spit hot? I spit hot. I freestyle every night on stage.
Yeah?
Every night. I know everybody's like, oh, yeah?
Yeah, can you?
Just take it easy, because I know what you're about to ask. Can you spit a rhyme now?
I don't know, can you?
Of course I can. The question isn't can. I'll make a deal with you. Make a deal. If I spit a rhyme, will y'all come to the show? Now, y'all saying that. Y'all be like, well, depends on how good its rhyme is. I don't know. You don't look like Drake, if you ask me. Let's see. About Houston and the Super Bowl. First of all, I'm going to have to let you know, I was on stage when there was the Super Bowl, so I didn't get to see it. I was madder than Malcolm, was so upset that the losing Falcons would blow a lead 28-3. I was like, you throw that ball and the receiver can't see? Then all of a sudden, couldn't stop at the line. Then here come Tom Brady. I'm like, oh my God.
Okay. so-
Tragic. It was tragic. I was backstage like, what's the score? Dang. Then I got to go out there and act and like, yes, and everything's fine. No, it's not. It's not fine. Go Houston.
Thank you. So not only are you going to see this cat on stage, we've got a cast of all African Americans, 5 wonderful, amazing freestyle artists who dance,
And assistant
act,
DJ Reborn from New York.
all there. We open on Wednesday, playing all the way through March 5th here at the Alley Theater. So glad to be here.
Oh, show up an hour before, $18 tickets. Show up with, if you're a student, show up with your student ID, get a discount. And February 18th, the local hip-hop group, The Hue, will give the after party after our performance. So please come out to that. Thank you all. Thank you, Houston.
So good to be
Hey
here in
guys,
Houston.
hold on a second, hold on. So they'll also be on Great Day next week. My name is Debbie D, and I want you to know that I'm so glad that you're coming to the show, right? And how long are you staying in Houston? We love you, but you can't stay too long. But here's the reason why. Because like you're both very like real fit guys and everything. They discovered French's Chicken, guys.
It's good. I was there
Just
yesterday.
letting you know. Ever been to a friend's house to eat and the food just wasn't no good and the chicken tastes like wood? Not at French's. Guys, thank you very much, and thank you very much for debuting in Houston first. All right, well, in stark contrast to my son, I remember, and I think some of you probably remember too, a time when there was no video games. I had a black and white TV. In Taipei, Taiwan, there were only 2 shows in English, Bewitched and Combat. My sister was 6 years older than me, and she wouldn't play with me because she thought I was just a little kid. So like many kids, books became my friend. Our special guest tonight had a big head start on this passion because as a teenager, she worked in a library. It greatly influenced her career path. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree in journalism from the University of California, Berkeley. Her first book, Mama, won the Doubleday New Voices Award and the American Book Award. Most of us remember when her book, Waiting to Exhale, hit bookshelves. Everyone falls in love sometime. And later it hit the silver screen. And while those ladies struggled to find Mr. Right, Stella just went ahead and got her groove back. She says, I write about what breaks my heart, what I don't understand, and what I wish I could change. Please welcome New York Times bestseller, among many other awards, Miss Terry McMillan. Shoop, 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 shooby-doop, doop-doop. Somewhere back there. I'm going to go check it out, okay? In the meantime, y'all just wait to exhale and do that again.
I didn't even hear my name, probably because I got all this new hair. Thank you all for coming. Huh? Can you hear me okay? Okie dokie.
Tell them they can exhale now. They're holding their breath still.
Did you see me at the Super Bowl yesterday? I was a cheerleader. Rooting for the Falcons? Anyway, thank you all very much for coming. I am going to read part of a chapter, and then I will answer questions. And then sign a few books if you have any. Can you hear me okay like this? Has anybody read this book? Okie dokie. What'd you say? Okay. Anyway, I might have to take these off. They don't hurt. They don't hurt. I don't wear shoes that hurt. But this way, I can just stand here. These are new, cheap glasses. Let me see. I think I can read this. Okie dokie. It's another exciting Friday night, and I'm curled up in bed, alone, of course, propped up by a sea of pillows, still in my lab coat, the sash so taut it's suffocating the purple silk dress beneath it, but I don't care. After a grueling day of back-to-back patients, I'm a few minutes away from being comatose, but I'm also hungry, which is why I'm channel surfing and waiting for my pizza to get here. I stop when I come to my favorite standby, Law & Order Criminal Intent, even though I've seen almost all of them, including the reruns. These days, I usually just watch, the first 5 or 10 minutes long enough to see Detective Gorin stride onto the crime scene in his long trench coat, tilt his head to the side while he puts on those rubber gloves, rubs a new growth on that beautiful square chin, and bend down to study the victim. It's at this moment before he utters a word when I usually pucker up to blow him a kiss and then change the channel. I've lusted after Detective Gorin and yearned to be held against shoulders like his long before my second marriage bottomed out. Truth be told, over the years, I've fallen in love every Wednesday with Gary Doyden's lips as CSI Warwick Brown. And even though I was no Trekkie, Avery Brooks's deep baritone and sneaky smile made me say yes aloud to the TV. I also let myself be seduced for hours in dark theaters, hypnotized by Benicio del Toro's dreamy eyes, even though he was a criminal, by Denzel's swagger when he was a slick gangster, Brad Pitt as a sexy young thief, Ken Watanabe as the most sensual samurai I wanted to ride on a horse with, and I wanted to be a black geisha and torture him until I finally let him have all of me. I hate to admit it, but if I had the energy, I'd kill to have sex with the first one who walked into my bedroom tonight. I'd let him do anything he wanted to do to me. It's been centuries since I've had sex with a real man, and I'm not even sure I remember what I would do first if I should ever be so lucky again. And this is not autobiographical. In fact, I think I'd be too uncomfortable, not to mention scared of getting all touchy-feely, and don't even get me started on him seeing me naked. Hell, this is why I sleep with a remote. When I hear the doorbell, I glance over at the broken blue clouds inside the clock on the night table. I've been waiting for 40 minutes for this pizza, which means they are going to owe me a free one. I roll off the bed on my side, even though the other side has been empty for years. I walk over. God, it's just a minute. I can't get my glasses back with all this hair. Yeah. I roll off the side of off the bed on my side, even though the other side has been empty for years. I walk over to the door and yell, "Be right there!" Then I grab my wallet out of my purse and beeline it to the front door because I'm starving. That is so not true. I'm just a little hungry. I'm trying to stop lying to myself about little things, and I'm still working on the big ones. I open the door, and standing there sweating is a young black kid who can't be more than 18. His head looks like a small globe of shiny black twists that I know are baby dreadlocks. His cheeks are full of brand new zits. His name tag says free. I'm so sorry for the delay, man. There was an accident at the bottom of the hill, and I couldn't get up here. So this one's on the house. He looks so sad, and I'm wondering if the price of this pizza is going to be deducted from his little paycheck, but I dare not ask. I don't mind paying for it, I say. It wasn't your fault there was an accident. I take the pizza from him and set it on the metal stairwell. That's real thoughtful of you, but I'm just glad this is my last delivery for the night, he says, leaning to one side as if he's pretending not to look behind me, but of course he is. This is a real nice crib you got here. I ain't never seen no yellow floors before. It's downright wicked. Thanks, I say, and hand him a 20. He looks as if he's in shock. Like I said, ma'am, this pizza's on the house, and I got some drink coupons you can have too, he says, pulling them out of his pocket, in his pocket of his red shirt. It's a tip, I say. Is your real name Free? Yes, ma'am. How do you feel about it? I dig it. I get asked all the time about it. So how old are you, Free? I'm 18. He's still staring at the 20, but then quickly shoves it inside of the back pocket of his jeans in case I come to my senses and change my mind. Are you in college? I'm hoping he says yes and that he's taking English, so one day soon he'll stop saying ain't. Almost, that's why I'm working. You really giving me this whole 20? I nod. Do you know what you want to major in? Mechanical engineering, he says with certainty. That's great. Your husband rich. What makes you think I'd have to have a husband to be rich? Everybody that live up in these hills is, except them two dykes that live next door, and they married. Those dykes aren't just my neighbors, they're also my friends, and they're lesbians. All right, my bad, he says, flinging his arms up like don't shoot. I didn't mean no harm. I know, anyway, I'm divorced, and I'm not rich, but I also don't struggle. You cleaned him out then, huh? No. Then he gives me the once over. You some kind of doctor? I look down at my lab coat. Yes, I'm an optometrist. Which one is that? I help people see clearly, I say, so as not to complicate it. Well, who helps you? He asks this with a smile, which throws me off completely. What a loaded question to ask. What a loaded question to ask a woman old enough to be his grandmother. Just fooling with you, Dr. Young. No disrespect intended. None taken, Free. Who helps me see what? Cool, well, look, I got to dash and get this car back to my cousin, but major thanks for the mega tip. And I have to say, it's nice somebody black gave it to me. Most of the white folks up here ain't big on tipping except for them lesbians. What he just said was a little on the racist and sexist side, but I know he meant well. He runs down the sidewalk and jumps into that raggedy car of his, removes a pizza sign displayed on top, and disappears down the hill. I lean against the door frame, watching him go. I really should have praised him for working to pay for college, and if he hadn't been in such a hurry, I would love to have told him that he might find his calling in college and he might not. But I'd also tell him to search until he did. Otherwise, he could end up doing something he just happened to be good at, something respectable that might guarantee him a nice income, but one day, when he's older, like say 53 or 54, when his kids have grown up, and he's twice divorced and bored with his profession and his life, and the thought of trying to change it all, or even where he lives, scares the hell out of him because it feels like it's too late, I'd tell him to please figure out a way to do it anyway, since I'm an excellent example of what can happen when you don't. I turn off the porch light, close the door, and I can't believe all of this is flooding in. I walk across these cool yellow concrete floors and sit on these cool metal stairs and look out at the light jutting up through those soft navy blue waves in that cool black bottom pool. And I look down to where the library and the guest room are, where both of my daughters used to sleep. And I sit here on these stairs and eat this entire cheese and tomato pizza. I am full of regret. Monday mornings are the worst. Which is why I left a little early. The freeway is still slow going, but I'm used to it. I crack my window, although it can't be more than 50 degrees. The dampness coming in from the bay can't eclipse the clarity of this morning as thousands of us descend around a curve, and they're waiting for us like a giant postcard is the Bay Bridge, and right behind it is the San Francisco skyline. This is a beautiful place to live. But then, as typically happens at least once a week, the traffic suddenly comes to a screeching halt. I can see the reason up ahead, a 4-car pileup. Anyway, a few minutes later, my cell phone rings. I know who it is before I even glance at the screen. Hello, Miss Early. I say to my mother for obvious reasons, but also because her name is Earlene. Hello, back to you, Miss Georgia. Of course, I was never any Miss Georgia because I was born in Bakersfield, where she still lives. and I was named after my late father, whose name was George. There's hardly a day that goes by when somebody doesn't ask me if I'm from Georgia, and I'm in college. I just started lying and said, yes, Macon. But they wanted to know why I didn't have a drawl. What can I do for you, ma'am? Are you feeling okay? I'm probably healthier than you, Georgia. Anyway, I'm calling for 2 reasons. I'm going on a cruise for seniors with my church. That's nice, I say. Trying not to laugh because I'm thinking this is going to be one wild and scandalous cruise. That's all you have to say? I'm thrilled for you, Ma. I know you go to one of those mega churches, but are there enough seniors in the congregation to fill a whole cruise ship? Of course not. There are 10 churches, and we're not going to be the only older people on it. She's 81, soon to be 82. When and where are you going? We leave 2 weeks from 1 day from today for 10 whole days. We're going to 4 or 5 islands in the Caribbean that I can't remember the name of right now, but one of them is the Grand Cayman. That's a whole lot of numbers, Ma. But it sounds like so much fun. It'll be good for you. I know, but I still miss your brother and your dad, and I get lonely in this condo, and I'll just go on and admit that I get tired of going to church just so I can have a social life, and I don't have to get dressed up to worship at home. Anyway, I'll be doing a lot of praying standing in front of those slots, and then she laughs. Okay, Bob, what's the other thing? Because I'm stuck in traffic, and it looks like it's about to start moving. Well, you know it's almost time for my annual eye exam, and my cruise conflicts with the date I have on my calendar. Ma, it's not set in stone. I know, so I'm hoping to get a rain check to see if we can make it after the holidays, unless you think I need to have it sooner. Ma, you don't have to have the test at the same day every year, on the same day. But around the same time, it's just smart to do at your age. I'm not senile yet, Georgia. I'm not even going to respond to that. And who is we? Please don't say Dolly. Well, it's not safe for me to drive that far alone anymore, so Dolly is willing to do the driving. Well, I mean, Lord. Dolly is my older second cousin whom I love but don't like that much because she's got a nasty attitude and never has anything nice to say about anybody, especially me. I know this to be true because gossip travels faster within families. She has convinced herself that I think I'm hot shit because I went to college and live in a nice house with a pool. Some relatives I can live without, and Dolly is on the top of that list. The boys want to come too. They haven't seen you in years, and they've been having a hard time finding work. The boys are over 30 and haven't worked in years. Last time they were here, they smoked marijuana in the bathroom and tried to drink up half the liquor in the bar. I'm about to start remodeling, so there'll be no place for them to sleep, I lie. Well, it's about time. I hope you tone it down some. I feel like I'm walking into a rainbow every time I come through your front door. Gotta go. Love you, Ma. I usually give her smooches, but she just hurt my feelings, so I don't feel much like it. I rush past the tall wall of windows, and Marina, our 6-foot Japanese receptionist, waves at me. She's on the phone. It turns out I'm late, of course. Okay, so I say to Marina, what's the verdict? You've only missed one appointment, and I rescheduled. Thank you much. Is someone in my chair? I asked without looking over the schedule. A newbie, and not to sound corny, but she really is black and beautiful. First name Cleo, last name is Strawberry. How cool is that? We must thank our lovely florist for the referral. Cleo just wants new contacts, and Miss Kwan has made it very clear that she will wait. You need a tall Pete's? It won't help, but thanks. She hands me my appointment list in the patient's folder. Strawberry. I head to my office, grab a clean lab coat from the closet, slip it over my boring dress, and sanitize my hands. I read over the chart quickly and head 2 doors down. I tap lightly on the door, and when I hear an energetic voice say, all is clear, I feel better already. Marina was right. She looks like a black princess, probably in her mid-20s. She closes the Dwell magazine in her lap like a child who's been caught reading something illicit. She reaches over to set it on the instrument table, but knows that's wrong, so I hold my hand out along with a smile and take it. She looks up at me and smiles back. Good morning, Miss Strawberry. I'm Dr. Young, and I'm so sorry I'm late. Good morning to you as well. I was probably right in front of you because I just got here 15 minutes ago, so no need to apologize, Dr. Young. I just pray no one was seriously injured. I hope not too. Apparently, we're going to have to thank Noel for the referral. Anyway, we never know what to expect from one week to the next, so your last name is Strawberry. That's not a very common name. No, it isn't. That's why I like it. Eons ago when I was an undergrad, I had a good friend with that same last name. What college? UCSF? My dad went to UCSF for undergrad too. I graduated in '76. He was a class of '75. His first name is Raymond. I can't believe what she just said. Ray Strawberry and I always thought of each other as best friends with benefits because his girlfriend was at Harvard and he was madly in love with her, and I wasn't really attracted to him at first. Ray and I were both studying our butts off and lonely and needed some relief, so we made a pact that we would call each other up for sex with no strings attached, which at first we did once a week, but then it got up to twice weekly, and then whenever we could steal a half hour. All this was going well until his girlfriend came for spring break, and I realized I was jealous because unbeknownst to me, I had accidentally fallen in love with him. I can't believe you're his daughter. We kind of lost touch after he went off to Yale. Ray was serious about becoming a surgeon, so did he? And is he practicing in the Bay Area? How is he? I'd love to say hello. Wow, what a small world this is. Well, he's passed on. I gently put the ophthalmologist, I made this up. I can't say that word. Ophthalmoscope. Thank you, honey. Back on the instrument tray. It doesn't matter that I haven't seen or thought much about Ray in all these years, and I can't believe his daughter is sitting in his chair in my office and has just told me that the first man I fell in love with is dead. It's been 5 years now, she said, as she brushes her fingers through those thick black tendrils. A 6-car pileup. It was a deer. Shit. I am so sorry to hear this. So very sorry. I grab a Kleenex for myself and then hand her one. I give her the exam, measure her vision, and dilate her pupils in total silence. She starts to tell me her father's history, but suddenly stops because she knows. When we're finished, I write her a prescription for new contacts, tell her how nice it was to meet her, that her vision will probably be blurred for the next few hours and to avoid direct sunlight. On her way out, she hugs me like it's goodbye, and I know she won't be coming back. I'm melancholy for the rest of the day. I don't feel like driving in rush hour traffic and don't feel like going home. I walk 6 blocks towards Fisherman's Wharf, and even though it's only 6 o'clock, it's almost dark and the breeze coming from the bay bites. No matter how warm it is in San Francisco during the day, the temperature is guaranteed to drop at least 20 degrees by evening, which is why I have on my lined trench coat with a wool scarf wrapped around my neck 4 or 5 times. My hands are in my pockets. I turn left on the Embarcadero and almost bump into a homeless woman blocking the sidewalk. She's wrapped in a grimy green blanket. Her hair is colorless, and her face is dirty. I can't tell how old she is, but what I do know is right now, this sidewalk is her home. I open my purse and pull out a bill that happens to be a 20. I put it in her can and keep walking. I do not feel generous. I have no destination in mind. I'm just trying to register the fact that someone I was once very close to and loved is dead. It doesn't seem to matter that it's been over 30 years since I saw him. It doesn't seem to matter that I can't remember the last time he even entered my mind. What's making me so sad is he never even knew I loved him. I cross the street and go into a restaurant that's holding happy hour. A handsome host asks if I'll be having dinner, and I tell him I'm not sure. He asks where I'd like to sit, and I point to outside. I follow him and luckily am seated right under a giant heater. Almost all the tables are full of professionals who work nearby. The water in the bay looks black, and the waves are high and heavy. Ferries to Sausalito, Tiburon, and Larkspur are crossing paths out there. They pass right by Alcatraz. The Oakland and Berkeley Hills twinkle on the other side of the bay, and to the left, through light fog, the Golden Gate Bridge still looks red, even at night. I take off my coat. Instead of white wine, I order a cappuccino. I should have told Ray I loved him before he graduated. I should have taken the risk of finding out that he didn't love me. And what if he did? When my coffee arrives, I sip the foam and then wipe the rim of the cup with my index finger. As I listen to the waves crashing against the dock below, I'm now wondering where the other men I once loved might be. What happened to them? What are they doing? How did their lives turn out? And are they happy? And are they alive? I've done a pretty good job of airbrushing most of them out of my memory. but now I wonder if they've erased me too. I've been in love at least 5 or 6, maybe even 7 times. 2 I married. 3 were full throttle love, but then the transmission died, and the other 2 were over before we got started. This doesn't include the men I only had sex with. That number is much higher. Over the years, it became clear that sometimes you fall in love only to realize you don't even like the person. Yeah. I liked Ray before I loved him, respected him, and he certainly respected me. He had integrity. He was honest. We talked about everything and anything. He was also a good listener. I learned to be one too. I didn't put on airs and didn't have to work to impress him. He liked me as is, which is why we didn't play any silly games. In fact, he was probably the first guy I could say I was friends with. After Ray graduated, he went on to Yale and disappeared from my radar. I became a better person because of the time I spent with him, knowing him. I never got a chance to tell him that, but I think I would like to let the other men know that what I gained from loving them, maybe even hating them. Right now, I don't exactly know because I've never thought about it before. What I do know is that men have occupied almost 35 years of my entire adult life. That's a whole lot of time. It now seems obvious that the way we're raised has a major impact on what kind of a person we turn out to be, but so does who we love. I want to find them. I want them to know they were once important to me. I want to tell them what they gave me. I want to find out what I gave them. I want to remember why I loved them. I want to find out why they loved me. I want to understand why we stopped loving each other, why we stopped caring for each other, why we hurt each other. I want to apologize. I want to explain. I want to forgive them. I want to find out if they've forgiven me. I want to figure out why it's so hard to forgive. And I want them to know I didn't forget about them, and I just chose now to remember. But more than anything, I really want to know if they're still alive and healthy and happy and thriving, and if they've become the man, the person they wanted to become. I hope so. And I thank Raymond Strawberry for helping me see this. On the way home, there's no traffic. I feel different, lighter, clear, as if I've just opened a lane for myself and I'm about to enter it. When we're young, we think we're always going to be young. We thought life was going to be one long party, one thrill after another. We knew we could get over heartache and disappointment and failure in a snap because we were going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of opportunities and do-overs. We knew that success and happiness and love were in the cards. We didn't worry about the future. We were more worried about the next time we were going to get laid. Now you fall across the bed when you're not sleepy, but just tired of the way you live or aren't living. From the outside, you shouldn't be complaining, but success and a good credit score can't love you or give you an orgasm. You even empty the trash and wonder what you're really throwing away. You comb your hair and put on makeup and buy something pretty to wear and get your nails and toes painted hot pink, even though you don't feel hot, and you wonder who will even notice. You shave your legs and under your arms and get your eyebrows waxed, and you wonder who will notice. And then one day, out of nowhere, you stop wondering and start worrying that the best part of your life is behind you. Is this how it's going to be forever? Is this all there is? God, you hope not. Thank you. Thank you. Wait a minute.
What size are those shoes? I can take them off your hands.
Huh?
Or take them off your feet, rather. Terry McMillan.
Thank you.
All right, so I have a series of questions here from me and from some of our audience members as well. I'm going to go back to that quote I started with. I write about what breaks my heart, what I don't understand, and what I wish I could change. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you really wish you could change? Because it is your series of experiences
President.
that is our president.
Go ahead.
The challenges that you went through in your life are the things that we kind of find therapy in because you have the courage to write about them. And so would you want to change them, or is that where our growth comes from? is
Is that where
recognizing.
what comes from?
Is that where our growth comes from, is
I
recognizing
can't
them.
speak for everybody. I try to understand people, in some cases, some people that have gone through stuff that I haven't. I've never had this happen. I've never gone back and looked up my old boyfriends.
But there's a piece of you in every book, isn't there? A piece of you in every
Well,
book.
I mean, the thing is this, is that, I mean, what I do know is that sometimes we forget who we used to love. And we are affected by it. That much I do know. So I just created this whole thing, this fantasy to some extent, what would happen if you went back and looked them up. But I try to write stories about people who have a longing for something that's missing in their lives, or something that we are trying to get over, because most of us are. Sometimes it's both. And just to be realistic.
Yeah.
You know, I don't try to create lives that aren't realistic or that are implausible. I think most of us tick to the same beat. We all want to be cared for and be happy and all that. But there are impediments. There are boulders and sometimes pebbles that get into our way. And that sometimes they can be people. Sometimes it can be a paycheck. It can be a whole lot of things.
Sometimes it can be us.
I didn't want to say that.
Well, I look at the title, I almost forgot about you, right?
Yeah,
you can be like that guy, but you can also be
That's-
us.
Thank you. You're one of the few people that have gotten that. Yeah, because sometimes we do ourselves an injustice.
Well, you see it in
Many
the
of
book. We get lost in all the things, the right house, the right resume, all that stuff, the outside appearances, and we think it should all be great and wonderful because that's what so many of us aspire to do, right? Is to have that right resume, and you're still not happy. If you have all those things that we think we need, how can you still not be happy? And that's what you show in this book. It is you have to have sense of self and sense of belonging, and the point you make, be loved and be able to love. I don't know. That's what I got out of it.
Well, for me, the impetus behind the story was that's only part of it. My thing was that I know that there are a lot of women in particular. I don't mean, because men, I guess they call it a midlife crisis to some extent. But there are a lot of women that I know, professional women, and that I read about that, you know, everybody, it's like when you do it by the book.
Yeah.
You go to the college, you get a degree, you have a profession. You know, I mean, I know lawyers, all kinds of folks, and they do this job by rote almost. And it's not as gratifying as it once was. It's not as fulfilling. And then when you know, I mean, I got on Medicare like in October. My attitude has changed. I'm not kidding you. I'm serious. I was thinking, do I have 15 years left? Maybe 20? And I'm thinking, and I mean, I love what I do, but I just know that there are people, and in this case, women, who all of it looks good on paper. But how gratifying is it really? Some women are happy and pleased with what they do, but it's a lot of them who aren't. You know, and in some cases, it's almost like you wanted to make sure that you knew you could do it, and you did it. Now what? And you know what I mean? And you know, there's a world out here, and we still have a lot of good years to try things that we never tried, to go places we've never gone, you know, have sex on an elevator. No.
All right, speaking of, that was another book series, and I'm kind of bored with that. I was wondering if you could maybe write like 50 Shades of Chocolate. Or 50 Shades of Darker Chocolate.
No.
All right, so we know where you are. I want to back up a little bit and see where you came from. I mentioned earlier that you worked in the library and you loved books, and there's such a wide difference between loving books and then writing them. Like a lot of people say they like to sit down and write, but it's so hard to get started. Probably the most popular question I get is, how do you find classes to start to write? I'm sure Dr. Lawson will have some information on that. To start to write, and what do you write about? And how do you get over something when you get stuck? What was the first thing you ever wrote? What was the first thing you ever wrote? It's the people asking.
What
What was the first thing you ever wrote?
What?
Yeah,
What was-
that you ever sat down and wrote something.
Oh, it was a poem.
And?
And I was like 18, and some guy I was going out with kind of hurt my feelings. He broke my heart. And I just wrote this poem, and I don't know, I'm no poet. And then somebody read it that happened to come over to see my roommate, and I was in the bathroom, and he was nosy, and he read it, and it turns out that the junior college that I was going to at the time, anybody ever remember a TV show called Cooley High?
Yes.
Well, his name was Eric, and I can't remember Eric's last name, but it was him. And he was starting this literary magazine at this college, and he said, "Can I publish this?" And I was like, "What?" And then I said, "Yeah, sure." But then after that, if a leaf fell off a tree, I didn't poem it. You know?
The tree in the breeze
and I was
has
no
fallen from the
poet.
tree.
But what was the second part?
Well, let me touch on what you just said. You said, I was no poet, but that's what stops a lot of people. They think, I'm not good, and you shove it
Well,
away.
I still wrote poetry, but I just didn't leave it on the kitchen table for anybody
Yeah.
to see.
Or,
You know, I mean, it was, I don't want to say therapeutic, it wasn't that, but it was probably better than smoking marijuana, which everybody around me was doing. You know, it was like an outlet, and it's like, I didn't know what I felt until I wrote it down. I didn't know how to acknowledge it. I didn't know how to document it. And so writing was an outlet for me. And so I wasn't doing it for any other reason, you know, but, you know, you fast forward the film and, you know, I get to college and I have to declare a major and, you know, I didn't know. I went to Berkeley as an undergraduate, and so I started writing these scathing editorials, much like I tweet now. But long and short of it is I needed to declare a major, and I didn't know what to major in. I was thinking about sociology because I thought I could help save the world. And my advisor ended up saying, you know, I've been reading your articles, and I was like embarrassed. And he said, why not journalism? And the long and short of it is, he said, why not write and English? And I didn't want to take English. And so I ended up majoring in journalism. And I didn't like telling the truth on paper. And I found out that all the assignments that we were given, that I could just lie. and my professor would believe it. And that's really how I sort of started.
well, you say
It's the truth.
you couldn't save the world, but how many of you, the power of a book, how many of you got through something by reading one of her books?
You don't have to lie.
No, it's true. We have strength in numbers, like, ooh, girl, she got it worse than I do. Okay, I can move on. But
But the thing is this, is that I read things that make me feel better. I read to get a different perspective. And not just to get enlightened or to metamorph or whatever. I think more than anything, what I read is to find out that everybody suffers and everybody loves, and how people get through things. It's different for all of us, but I am encouraged because I don't read things that just depress me. I can be depressed all by myself, you know. And I don't believe in fairy tales, but you know, we have to get through things by putting one foot in front of the other, and sometimes we need help. Some people don't realize that you can ask for it. Yeah. And because the idea is that, I mean, really, as you start to age, you start to realize how valuable your time is and what you do with it, right? Yeah, and that's what I meant by the Medicare. I can't wait for Social Security. And it just becomes more valuable. And so I'll put it this way: I'm diabetic. I was diagnosed with diabetes. It runs in my family, everybody's family, right? And so I was taking that metformin and Janumet and all that, and I just said, wait a minute, I'm not taking this stuff. And I stopped eating sugar. My numbers went down. I lost 15 pounds, and I said, you know what? This is how I'm going to do this. Whatever I can control, I'm going to control.
you didn't treat the symptom, you treated the cause.
Although I did have some peach cobbler at Thanksgiving.
Every now and then.
And a bite of sweet potato pie because I made it. But I didn't eat that much.
We were talking about
Sugar
this.
went out my ears.
We were talking about this earlier. When you read a good book, right, and then you start coming down to the end of it, and there's like the last few pages, and when it's over, you have to sit there and take a moment, right? You're like, because you've developed a relationship. You actually became a character in the book yourself, right? So I wonder, from an author perspective, when you're done with it, do you feel like like the relationship's over? Do you feel like we do?
I'll put it this way. I'm usually not in my books. I take on the persona of the character or characters that I'm writing about. And so I feel what they feel. And it may not be how I really feel, but I get to know them. But I do a whole lot of research. I mean, I do a lot to get to know my characters before I put them in these situations. And, like the end of this book, I was like, really? And I was like, I wish I was Georgia, But no, you just, to me in life and in a good book, and I'm not trying to take credit for writing good books, but all I know is the ones that move me. It's in real life, you don't go from A to Z. But if you if you're already at F and you get to J, right on. It's movement, it's progress. And I don't mean that, you know what I mean. I mean, that can be emotionally, you got over something, you got through something, your health is better, you stop hating him, you did this, you did that, all of it, it's like, it's an evolution, you know what I mean? You evolved.
Someone asked, because it's still got a groove back, waiting to exhale, if Getting to Happy will be a movie.
Oh. No. Waiting to Exhale might be a TV series. Supposedly. Idris Elba wanted to do it. But I said, only if you let me sit on your lap. No. I'm just kidding.
And I think that's that, like when you
He's
take the
not
mic
doing
and you drop the mic instead, she just spilled the glass there. And I think with that, let the church say amen. All right, so Brazos Books is out there, and you can get your book signed by Terry.
We're done?
Yeah, we're done.
Oh,
I think
wow,
we're done. Was that a sign that we're done? But we're not done. We're.
Oh. Huh?
Oh, she's supposed to sing.
I'm supposed to do what?
You're supposed to sing.
What?
You're supposed to sing?
Who's being funny?
What's she supposed to sing?
She's being funny.
But I will say you can get your book autographed, and so no personalized, like, my Aunt Janetta, her name is spelled capital J, little O, capital N-N-E-T. Okay, just, right, we got to keep things
wait.
moving along.
Wait. Can you make this to my husband's son? And his kids?
And you spell the
This is
name
what
like
I want
this.
you to say. Stay strong. She is coming back. It's gonna get better. Can you write that for me?
So in the interest
No.
of time, we will not personalize like that. And then, the whole thing of getting pictures and all that type of stuff too. So we'll keep it moving, as we say, keep it moving. But Ms. McMillan, it is a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for spending time with us
Thank you,
tonight.
everybody. That was quick.
And seriously, think about that 50 Shades of Chocolate. I'm just saying, I need that.
Have you guys seen that movie? I don't want to see that.
No, unless it's
She's
chocolate.
not even that cute.
Unless it's chocolate.
And he's not. I saw him do this backward flip on some talk show. Who's a thought? Thank you. Is it cold?